The rain was relentless that night, hammering against the windows of our suburban home in upstate New York, the kind of downpour that makes you feel like the world is unraveling. I stood in the kitchen, my hands wrapped around a mug of chamomile, tea that had gone cold, staring at the droplets racing down the glass. My name is Rachel, 38 years old. A wife, a stepmother, a woman who'd spent the last decade building a life that looked perfect from the outside. White picket fence, manicured lawn, a husband who wore tailored suits and shook hands with confidence. But inside, our home was a hollow shell, and I was the ghost haunting it. My husband, Marcus, was upstairs, his face lit by the blue glow of a Zoom meeting, his voice a distant hum through the floorboards. He hadn't looked at me, really looked at me in years. I'd become invisible, a background character in my own story, cooking dinners he barely ate, folding laundry he never noticed, smiling when the neighbors asked how we were doing. "Oh, we're great," I'd say, my voice bright, my chest tight. But I wasn't great. I was starving, not for food, but for something I couldn't name. Something I buried so deep I'd forgotten it existed. I wasn't always like this. There was a time when I felt alive, when my laughter filled rooms, when Marcus would pull me close at night and whisper promises against my skin. But 12 years of marriage had worn those moments thin, like pages in a book read too many times. He stopped kissing me goodbye first, then stopped asking about my day. Eventually, he stopped seeing me altogether. I'd stand in front of him, hair curled, wearing the dress he used to love, and his eyes would slide past me to his phone, his laptop, his laugh that didn't include me. I told myself this was normal, that marriages settle into silence, that expecting more was selfish. So I carried my loneliness like a stone in my pocket, heavy but familiar, and I kept going. I cleaned, I cooked, I smiled, and I waited for something to change, even though I knew it wouldn't. But someone else was watching. Someone else saw the way my hands lingered on the counter when I was tired, the way my eyes dimmed when Marcus walked past without a word. That someone was Ethan, Marcus's son from his first marriage. I met Ethan when he was 10, a skinny kid with messy brown hair and eyes that seemed to carry the weight of the world. He was quiet, thoughtful, always watching from the edges of rooms. We bonded quickly. Maybe because I made time for him when his father didn't. Maybe because I saw a piece of myself in his stillness. I'd bake cookies with him, help with his homework, cheer at his soccer games when Marcus was too busy. Over the years, he grew taller, stronger, his voice deepening, his shoulders broadening. By 18, he was practically a man, 6 feet tall, with a quiet confidence that made my heart ache with pride. He was my stepson, my family, my boy, but lately something had shifted. His eyes lingered on me a little too long. His smiles carried a warmth that felt different. I told myself I was imagining it, that I was projecting my own emptiness onto him, but deep down I knew better. It started innocently enough. Ethan came home from soccer practice one Thursday, limping slightly, his face tight with pain. He tried to brush it off, but I could see the way he winced when he sat on the couch. "Just tweaked my back," he said, his voice casual, but his eyes betrayed his discomfort. I frowned, maternal instinct kicking in. "You sure? I can call the doctor." He shook his head, his lips quirking into a half smile. "School nurse said rest in heat. I'll be fine, Rachel." But he wasn't fine. Later that night, I found him sprawled awkwardly on the couch, a heating pad pressed against his lower back, his jaw clenched, my heart twisted. "You want some help?" I asked, hesitating in the doorway. He looked up, surprised, his hazel eyes catching the dim light. "Like with the heating pad?" I swallowed, my mouth suddenly dry. "I used to help your dad with his back pain. I could give you a quick massage, might loosen it up." The words felt heavier than they should have, but I pushed the thought away. This was just me being a mom, right? Helping someone I cared about. Ethan didn't answer right away. He just looked at me, his gaze steady, searching. Then quietly he said, "Yeah, I'd like that." My stomach fluttered, but I ignored it, grabbing the bottle of unscented lotion from the bathroom. I sat on the edge of the couch, my hands trembling slightly as he lay face down, lifting his shirt just enough to expose the small of his back. The room was quiet, the only sound the faint hum of the TV and the ticking of the clock on the mantel. I placed my hands on his skin, warm and tense under my fingers, and started to knead gently. He exhaled, his shoulders relaxing, and for a moment it was exactly what it was supposed to be, simple. Caring, safe, but then he flinched, just a quick shift, and his shirt rode up higher. My hand brushed bare skin, smooth and warm, and something inside me stirred. Not desire, not yet, but something, a spark, a whisper of something I hadn't felt in years. I pulled my hand back, my voice unsteady. Too much pressure. He shook his head, his voice low, almost a murmur. "No, you're the only one who makes me feel cared for." My hands froze. The air in the room thickened. The clock stopped ticking. My heart pounded so loud I was sure he could hear it. I stared at the back of his head, at his messy hair, at the way he didn't move. Then take it back. "What?" I whispered, barely audible. He didn't repeat it, but he turned his head slightly, just enough for me to see the edge of his face. His eyes soft, unguarded. "Nothing," he said, but it wasn't nothing. It was everything.